This lack of wisdom going around when it comes to musical instruments, when it comes to languages. And I've seen enough languages and and I've seen enough of musical instruments and played to be involved in this blaming other instruments and praising your own instrument or whatever other languages you're learning. All the languages you're learning are good languages. All the languages you're not learning, they're not good. Maybe it's that goes for you, but not for other people. Life is kind of beautiful because there's diversity. If we had just one good language for everything, for everybody, we would speak that language, and God forbid that happens, we would be all the same thing. So, I see in many groups, Facebook groups, people extolling the language they speak, and that's so biased, and extolling languages they learn, and one must be very insecure of himself or herself to go around and claiming that their instrument, their language, the language they're learning are the best, are the most difficult. First of all, this idea of difficulty equals good is a piece of shit. If you think that, I don't think that we should avoid learning things that are complicated rather than difficult. Complicated involves, I don't know, that has a different connotation. But, when you buy a computer, when you get a device, the whole idea of difficult equals good goes down the drain. You want to know, get this cellular phone is so difficult. So we have a part of our society that blames something that is difficult or unwieldy, and another part that goes for difficult like a value. It's neither of them. We shouldn't do things just because they're difficult or because they are easy. We should do things that mean something to us. So I know that I'm learning Turkish not because it's difficult and I want to brag about knowing Turkish that I still don't know, but because it's different, and I think in a way it's interesting to me, if you catch my drift. But I'm not doing that because it's difficult, because many things in Turkish are not difficult, but it's a whole different language with different grammar, different way of facing reality, different word order. Most of words are not like our words. It's not a European word language where there are a lot of Latin or English words that are common. But I'm not learning Turkish to say, oh, I'm learning Turkish because it's so difficult. That doesn't make any sense at all. And history of languages showed that languages always change, and they tend to become simpler in a way. It took 2 millennia, 25 centuries for ancient Greek, to become modern Greek. And most of these things are on the morphology. This is the study of the way language words change with prefixes, suffixes, declinaison, conjugation, all these things. And if you judge a language only by the external complications, so to speak, you would say all modern languages are shit, most of them. And Esperanto, which is the simplest language in the world, is nothing. But, you know, some things are complicated because they're just accidents in the history of a language. But there's no... I'll give you an example. With Italian, we say io vado, tu vai, egli va, to go, I go, you go, she goes, he goes. Noi andiamo, voi andate, loro vanno. Io vado, tu vai, egli va. Noi andiamo, e andate. There are two forms that have nothing to do. There's another root. Does it make Italian better? No. It's just like this. Languages are not like, unless you have Esperanto, which is invented for a peculiar reason. I'm not against Esperanto anyway. Languages show in their looks their history. Like English shows that there was the base is Anglo-Saxon, but there were Vikings, there were French-speaking Norman speakers, and Celtic people who absorbed and the language, and it shows in the different accents and different layers of language. The Anglo-Saxon, the Viking layer with all the sk, like skill, skirt, shirt, no, when you have a skirt, it becomes shirt and skirt. Okay, maybe it's the same origin. There is a shirt and there is a skirt. Anyway, there's a shipper and there is a skipper. So it's very interesting. So one of the languages that most people deem to be easy actually is not easy, because our tendency is to think only about morphology. So there are some languages that have no morphology, very little morphology, and are considered to be very difficult, like Chinese, as far as I know. The grammar, the way we see it, like homo, hominis, homi, hominem, homines, Latina, that's Latin. So the whole idea of quarreling about my language is better than yours because it's more complicated. But Greek, modern Greek, is not complicated. It took 225 centuries to become the manageable language that we have nowadays, that even foreign people can learn quite easily. The only difficult thing is not the language, the way it's spelled, which is historical. I mean, the pronunciation got simplified, but the spelling not. And most of Greek people don't have any idea that spelling is a representation of ancient pronunciation. They even deny that. So we have modern and many Greeks thinking that people spelled Emma, which means blood, with alpha iota, AI, just for the hell of it. No, nothing is just for the hell of it. Anyway, most of discrepancies are due to the fact that the pronunciation evolved, but the spelling stayed the same. So the same goes for instruments. Oh, my instrument is difficult. One of the most difficult, the way I see it, because I play instruments, the recorder has no keys, and that makes the instrument unwieldy and in a way difficult. Difficult means if you have to play the same piece of music, it involves more studying and practicing on a recorder to get on that level. This is a good comparison. When it comes to languages, it always depends on which language you start from, and at the end of the day, that's something that it's very difficult to evaluate because it's always like this. For a musical instrument, we always start from nothing when we learn a musical instrument, but then once you learn a music, let's say we compare a difficulty starting from 0. But obviously, if you play the guitar and you add the ukulele as another instrument, it will be easier for you than you start from a trombone and you add the ukulele. But the whole point is learn languages for yourself. Would you learn that languages if you were on a desert island with a PC, and you can watch internet, would do everything, but you cannot boast with anyone, you cannot show off your knowledge? Which language you would learn, assuming you can have electricity on a desert island? Okay, let's say on a missing, lost scenario. Watch like the TV series. You are on an island, you have electricity and everything. What language would you learn? This is the point. All the rest is sheer bullshit. Arabic is difficult. Who cares? I'm not learning Arabic because it's difficult. I'm not learning Chinese because it's difficult. I was not learning Greek because it's difficult. I was learning Greek because I studied ancient Greek. I was curious. It was a culture that I was interested in. And let's remember this. Once you learn the language for real, you don't listen. You just listen to the meanings that you convey through the language. You don't. You listen for information. Not. You don't hear the sound of the language. Once you know the language, you go for the meaning there inside the sound. So the actual sound of a language can be heard by people who do not speak the language, so they focus on the external surface. So like a dog listening to music, he listens to the same music, but we perceive in a way, and we can perceive music. Maybe dogs can in a way, but I don't think they can appreciate a symphony the same way we do. So they listen just to like a language, but they don't understand it. Okay? Once you know the language, you are focused on the information. So it becomes just a means to an end. So this is the absurd thing of the language. once you really learn the language, the thrill is gone. That's why many people psychologically switch from one language to another language. Once you'll never learn. You'll never master 100%. Even if you speak just one language, you will never. Okay, so I don't understand. I'm speaking 3 languages, and the 4th is I barely find time or the will. Turkish, but I will learn in a way, not perfectly. So the moment you can chill out and appreciate the language you learned and use it to listen to music and understand the lyrics, to get into a new society, in a new, even if you're not there, but you vicariously through the internet, you start reading Turkish newspaper, watching Turkish TV shows, the news and everything, and you become part of that. You can understand a joke, you can understand many things. Okay, maybe food, not through the internet, but you can go to a restaurant in Italy. You can, if you want, if you find ingredient, cook your own recipes of Turkish cuisine, which is very close to Greek cuisine. That's learning languages to me. It's not boasting. It's not going around showing. Maybe, listen, I don't speak Turkish, but I do speak Greek. And I don't go around showing off my Greek and I don't let everybody know that I speak English or I speak Greek. Or if I'm in an English-speaking country, I'm not boasting my Italian. I find that so childish, puerile, that way. I find very childish. For example, there is a thread here about languages, and they say Greek is the most difficult language in Europe, and I beg to differ. It doesn't sound very difficult, but anyway, it doesn't sound more difficult than Italian, and I speak Italian, and I know both. But to me, obviously, it's more difficult because Italian is my native language. But anyway, the point is, who can tell that? Who knows all European languages? And which is the starting point? You know, for example, I'm reading. Now I'm answering. I'm exaggerating. So I'm making a point here. I've seen a lot of people learning a language on the internet only to show off on the internet. And first of all, it's very easy to speak a language when you're prepared and when you can shoot 100 videos and upload all the video where you speak better. To check the language level of anyone, you should let him speak freely, and you should engage in conversation. And but anyway, nobody is perfect, and after all, not everyone wants to be perfect. Some people enjoy the process, and you should in a way enjoy the process, because if you don't enjoy the process, it's not only the process, the language should be used then, but one thing that I know that I still, every time I watch a movie, every time I read, it's a lesson. Even if it's the language you already know, you think you already know, your native language or the language you've been speaking for decades, like English or Greek, I always bump into new words and new idioms. English is like huge because there are idioms there in United States, in Australia, in England, and there are a lot of differences. And there is not one form in English, there are at least two, the British and the American standard. But I find the whole language community very stupid, very, very stupid. Many people speak about languages but don't learn languages. Many people learn languages and want to speak about languages, but they don't have any clue about how languages work. I have even a book by David Crystal, How Language or Languages Work. It's over there. How language works. I strongly recommend this. I had the one about English and I lost it. It's very, very interesting. So, I made my point, I think. Languages are a means, but also a way of facing reality, of watching reality. It changes the way you see the world, but not so much. There's something common as human beings that we have, regardless of the language we speak. We all laugh the same way, we all understand, we laugh at jokes, we cry. That's part of being a human being. But I think that a lot of what I see written by language learners has more to do with their psychological problems than with languages. I'm learning this difficult language. Who cares? Who cares how difficult Japanese is? I cannot learn all the languages in the world. We have only one life, and we'll get just a little tiny side of what the word is. Nobody can embrace everything. The most you want to become good at something, the most you need to leave out other things. Okay? The moment I decided to study Turkish, I know I'm not going to study Arabic, Japanese, Chinese. I can live with that. Everybody lives with that. Okay? And after all, we got better fish to fry. You have to survive this shitty reality we live in. And you know what I mean. And I think that languages should be a way to opening our minds, not to a way to open our minds, not a way, should be a way to open our mind. You see, may make a mistake sometimes, not a way to close them, okay? To the opening, I want you to say. Should be an opening of our minds, okay? So many people are close-minded and they learn languages. And then I should open in another video a can of worms concerning the way people go about learning languages is so fucking stupid. That's why people don't speak. Most of people you see on all this, they dabble, but they're not real learners.